I'm Ralph Evans. We've got a very full agenda. It's absolutely packed with substance, content, and my job is to keep it all running on time. I'm the sheepdog, and I do bark occasionally. My apologies if I cut somebody short, but that's always in the interest of keeping the whole show on time. Please have your phones off or on silent. Nothing worse than having interruption due to a phone in one of these occasions. Many people have asked about Wi-Fi. In your white bag, there's a piece of paper that's got the Wi-Fi code, so you can connect while you're in the room. There's been a request that everybody should drop a copy of their business card in a bowl out at reception. Please do that. I don't think there's a door prize. It's just to make sure we've got the records and addresses and so forth completely right. Restrooms, when you need them, out there, past the chairs and tables, in the far corner. Now, one other thing is, would each panel please stay behind in the break just before you come up, other than panel one that's coming on in a minute, because we do need to check over the AV and make sure that all the slides and everything are in order. Now, we've gained a little bit of time because, regrettably, our speaker, who is going to launch things by talking about the Greek economy, he is here. He is here. Then in that case, I don't leap straight on to panel one. We're fortunate to have Mr. Efthymios Vidalis here to address us about the importance of what we're talking about today to the Greek economy, which, as we all know, has been going through a troubled patch. Mr. Vidalis is a very senior Greek businessman. He's a director of Alpha Bank, of Titan Cement, and sundry other companies, important companies in this country. And he's Secretary General of a body called SEV. I won't try and pronounce its name in Greek, but it is a top-level association of Greek industries. May I invite Mr. Vidalis to the podium, please.
Well, good morning. Just in time, I guess. No kidding, logistics have to be very timely. No, and I'm very happy to be with you. Actually, I'm not here to give a full address or speech. Essentially, I'm here to greet you. And while I'm on several corporate boards in this country and abroad, I represent SEV in this address. SEV is the Federation of Hellenic Enterprises. For those of you that live in Europe, it's the equivalent to MEDEF in France, which our chair is visited yesterday and today, the CBI, the BDI in Germany, and so on and so forth. So I'm speaking in that capacity and essentially greeting you. And I want to start by thanking John Gattorna and Evangelos Angeletopoulos, the co-hosts, for giving me the privilege of welcoming you as guests to our country, all the delegates of this wonderful and very thought-provoking leadership event about the global supply chain in your leadership summit. It's your sixth. I'm glad you're doing it in Greece. And I trust it's going to be intriguing and stimulating. And I do plan to attend most of the 2 days and hope to get to meet some of you and see what we might exchange as ideas. So on behalf of SEV, the Hellenic Federation of Enterprises, I want to welcome you and wish you the very best at this distinguished gathering. As you all know, and it's been too much in the press, and we've taken a very high priority of the world's attention, and where Greece is less than 2%, actually 1.7% of European GDP, I cannot imagine we'll take the same priority, and I hope we don't, in the next, in the coming months as we implement our second stage of this government and our third memorandum of understanding. We're at a very critical juncture where we do have a chance to emerge from the deep crisis that has affected our economy. We have lost over 25% of GDP in a short time, since 2009. The depth and the endurance of this dip is similar to the Great Depression, actually, in the US, if not worse. Unemployment has improved slightly, and it's at 26% versus 27.5% during the depth of the crisis. And our young people, unfortunately, are at 50% of unemployment. And therefore, many of them migrate, and it's certainly easy for them to go to Europe and secure jobs, those of them that are fortunate enough to have a CV. To us at SEV, the Federation of Hellenic Enterprises, and hopefully not only us, but with the government as well, the solution lies in the sustainable development of our economy, which can be only accomplished by unleashing and empowering the entrepreneurial drive of the business community and stimulating private investment, both domestic and international. But to do that, it is recognized, and we actually have agreed in our last memorandum of understanding with our lender partners that went through Hellenic Parliament with 222 out of 300 votes in August, that some prerequisites are in order. The system needs to provide stability and predictability of taxes, so the investor knows, as the tax system is reformed, what to expect without retroactive taxes, without changes, without special taxes all the time. Reform and accelerate the cumbersome permitting process and try to streamline the bureaucracy. And reform, very key, the judicial process, our justice system, to provide speedy resolution of disputes and legal certainty for the investor. We hope, and we actually expect, that our government will expeditiously work on the agreed policy milestones. And for those of you that may have perused the 32-page document, each page of this document is full of milestones, key milestones, it's full of milestones that we actually have to meet. And as I said before, I don't believe we'll get a lot more dialogue as we did in the first 6 months of the year. I believe and I hope our lenders' partners will insist and make us do it, which will be very good for us. And I do believe this government is going to own up to this policy. For our economic development, we need outward orientation, and we need to be export-orientated. And, it's just too small an economy to live on our own. Tourism will go only so far. We need to have a bigger participation, at least in the European and certainly in the global economy. The logistics part of the supply chain is key to this effort. Logistics are about 10.8% of Greek GDP, which, by the way, is larger than the share of GDP of transformation and manufacturing, which is about 10%, slightly over. By comparison, the European Union transformation and manufacturing is at about 15%, and as Europe shoots for 2020 to have a bigger manufacturing, it's shooting for 20%. Unless we create transformation, manufacturing, steady jobs, we're not going to get the employment and the development. And therefore, it is very important that logistics support our outward orientation. This sector is heavily fragmented. It's dominated by single truck companies where the truck driver is the owner and maybe a buddy, and they dominate the market. We have very few third-party logistic firms that do more than 15 million euro per annual revenue. Our infrastructure is incomplete, and the recession has taken its toll on our warehouses and fleet operations. I'd like to spend a minute on a good news and a demonstration of what the power of private investment, and it has been the investment of the Chinese company COSCO, and I understand Mr. Despotidis will elaborate later, but I couldn't resist to talk a little bit about this investment in the port of Piraeus since October of 2009. It has increased productivity by an order of magnitude and has taken advantage of the deep port, 17 meters, one of the deepest in Europe, accessibility, favorable weather, all year round, and it has a very short, much shorter access, certainly to Southeast Europe, South Europe, and Central Europe. Actually, it has an advantage of about 10 days to Rotterdam. And in addition to this, it has made Piraeus, and therefore Greece, an entry point for several multinational companies, such as HP, ZTE, Huawei, and so on, and the list is increasing. I singled this out because this case demonstrates the importance of privatization, one of the key requirements for us to get going, the drastic improvement and progress that was made in an existing infrastructure by the right company, and frankly, it's one of the very few investments that has happened during these dismal years of the crisis. We at SEV, the Federation of Greek Enterprises, understand the logistics and their importance to Greece and the Greek economy, to new jobs, local manufacturing. We have shifted our historical effort, which was focusing on infrastructures, and with our members we have formed, and I'll point out two pieces of work we have done. We documented and detailed a comprehensive growth strategy for the supply chain enterprises in 2013. We did this with several of our members and non-members, and we introduced growth initiatives both for shippers and for third-party logistics, and we have successfully lobbied the government to integrate the findings in strategy proposals. As a result of these efforts, we have a national strategy for logistics, an investment plan, new legislation, EU funding from structural funds, which are in line with the needs of the private sector. We have also set up a network of supply chain enterprises, more than 35 of our members, and academics to act both as a think tank and as a forum to promote local and international joint ventures. Although we cannot disclose financial results and numbers, many partnerships have emerged from this network between third-party logistics and port operators, train operators, shippers, and so on. Logistics is already in a growth drive for the Greek economy. Greece can compete against traditional players around the Mediterranean. I believe the developments in Egypt and the Suez Canal will the second one will very much help, but we need to add to that, and we need to prioritize our infrastructure projects, which need to be completed, highways, train hubs, ports, including completing the privatization process, both for Piraeus and Thessaloniki. Second, we need to provide better services for the local economy to improve, to fully benefit from the favorable positioning of our ports. And finally, we need to make sure economies of scale are able to be accomplished by removing obstacles to consolidation, to remove the fragmentation. We strongly believe that enhancing the logistics capabilities and potentials in our country will provide opportunities for international investors and will bolster our export orientation, which is so much needed. I do wish to all of us a very stimulating intellectual exchange with the panels and the exchanges as the conference works through all of these discussions. And I trust and hope that several of these ideas may find their way into Greek reality and materially help our economy into the growth mode. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Vidalis. I have personally renewed hope for the Greek economy having heard his address. I think that's wonderful.